Hi, welcome to Straight Talk. I want to welcome all of our new viewers in all the different cities and welcome you to the Straight Talk Network and the Straight Talk family, and let you know that our job here is to educate you and the community about the opiate epidemic, the drug epidemic, what to look for, how to find a good program, talk about all the issues that are impacting our neighborhoods, our families, the people we love, and sometimes even ourselves. So hopefully you'll learn something and be able to, again, find the help that people need. And today we're going to talk about an issue we hear a lot about: athletes who get injured while they're playing their sport, get a painkiller, and then become addicted to those painkillers. And we're going to talk a lot about that. And we're also going to talk a little bit about how do you handle recovery during a lot of these holidays we have that are kind of drinking and drugging holidays throughout the year. And we'll talk about how to support people in recovery and how to help ourselves too. So joining me is Matt Paris, who I call him a recovering athlete. He's the regional community outreach specialist at a program called Fresh Start Recovery Center in Gaithersburg, Maryland. And he's also here today to talk about his own story. Matt, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be back.
Matt, you were an athlete in high school, and something happened.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your athlete story.
So I grew up playing sports my whole life. I was always excited to be out on the field and be in the action. And once I reached high school, I was injured playing football. So playing baseball and football all through my younger years, obviously.
Like Little League,
yeah,
and Pop
absolutely.
Warner and all that stuff, right?
Absolutely. So I was a wide receiver at Wooten High School, and I got into I got tackled by another player and broke my wrist pretty badly. And at that time, they rushed me off to the hospital and it gave me my first experience with painkillers.
What was wrong with? Did you?
So I ended up the helmet pressed up against my wrist, which got caught in between the other player and myself, and snapped both bones of my wrist.
Wow. Pretty painful, huh?
Very painful, very painful. And I full of adrenaline, just wanted to keep playing, and the coaches looked at my arm and said, you need to go to the hospital. So they took me to the hospital and started inducing me with opiates. So it started at the hospital, and then I got a prescription to take home, and that was my first experience.
Now, when you went to the hospital, did you have to have surgery done?
Yep. We had some surgery on the spot, and yeah.
So you were in pain going in.
Oh, absolutely.
And then after the surgery,
made it even worse.
You had more pain.
Absolutely.
So they gave you Oxycontin.
Yes. And from there, I kind of took it and ran with it. My mom worked very hard to take care of me, so I was pretty much laid up for a week at the house. And it was up to me to take the medication, and I would take as much as I felt I needed. And once I had a first dose and how good it made me feel, I continued to take more, and it just continued to.
So you got the bottle, you got your wrist all messed up, and you got a bottle, and it probably says 1 every 4 hours or something.
Right.
And you didn't read that.
No, not at all.
You just took whatever it took to make you feel better.
Exactly.
So obviously it was probably more than one.
Most definitely.
Until you and you did that for the first week when you were home.
Right. So it continued to progress. I ended up taking as many as I felt I personally needed. I enjoyed the effects, the euphoria of the drug, and continued to take as many until my mom finally found out, noticed that there was less than should be in the bottle, and I then had to learn how to find ways and means to get more.
Now, how long were you, like a month in?
I would say I was about
rehab.
I would say I was right around a month. Yeah, right around a month where I had ran out too soon, and my mom, looked at the bottle and said, "This isn't good, right? You shouldn't have taken this many." So I then took it into my own hands and said, "I'm going to need to start, looking for this in other ways.
Did you try to go back to your doctor and
Yeah,
get
absolutely,
more?
absolutely.
Did he ever tell you about maybe you're going to get addicted or don't?
Nope, there
No
was
warning,
no warning or
nothing?
nothing.
What
no.
happened when you went back for a refill? Did he give you a refill?
I was able to get a refill.
Of course.
Yeah, unfortunately only one at the time. And then I ended up having another surgery a few months down the road, having some oral pain. I had some teeth removed and was prescribed painkillers once again. So it was just a cycle of doctors helping fix the pain, or what they thought was fixing the pain.
So after the wrist, you ran out. Now, were you able to live on the painkillers you got for your mouth surgery?
No, at that point I had found that there was other ways you could take these medications. So I began sniffing them to feel the effects even quicker. And then I would run out of that prescription even
So you
quicker.
would smash the pills and then snort the
Yep,
powder.
exactly. And so that is my disease slowly progressing. And then I would have to turn to the streets and ask people in school and look for other ways to find the drugs I needed.
So the prescription for Oxycontin probably cost about $1 a pill. And then you had to go to the streets to buy Oxycontin.
Right.
How much did you pay on the streets?
You're paying anywhere from $15 to $20 a pill.
For a pill, what you were getting for like a penny.
Right.
You know, a
Through
dollar.
insurance, yeah.
Something through the prescription.
Right.
So did you find yourself? I mean, you weren't a drug addict before all this.
No. I was a fairly decent student. I participated in after-school activities and sports and being a part of the community. And once I found the drugs, that slowly slipped away.
So after that injury, turned you into a drug addict.
Right.
And before that, you were maybe, what, drinking, smoking weed?
I might party occasionally
Party
on the
around,
weekends
but
after a big win. Or,
Right, right. But certainly not a heavy drug user. You didn't use heroin, you didn't use anything like that
Not by
at
any
that
means.
point.
Yep.
Wow. And now here you are, how old?
I'm 28.
How old were you at that point?
At that point, I was about 16 years old.
So here you are now roaming the streets looking, trying to hustle
Right.
Oxycontin and how did you find the money for that?
I would have to do anything. Yeah, anything I could to find the money. Stealing from loved ones, selling things, whatever I could.
And just hustling the streets looking for Oxycontin.
Right.
And what would you do? Were you trying to go to, did you ever try to go to other doctors and doctor shop, as they call it?
Absolutely.
Trying to hustle? Because I imagine at that point, it wasn't as crazy as it is now.
No, back then it was much easier. Yeah, much easier to obtain. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So now here you are out on the streets. We're going to take a little break in a second. I want to keep going because I think it's important because here you were an athlete, good kid, good student, good family. The next thing you know, you get your wrist broken, and months later you're out on the street looking for Oxycontin.
Right.
That's crazy.
It was. It was not what I expected for myself. I worked very hard to be a good athlete and a good student and a good son, and that day changed my life. I was prescribed a medication that I didn't know the effects.
And the doctor never really gave you that warning.
That's right.
All right, we're talking with Matt Paris. He works in the treatment field, but he also is a recovering addict, got hooked on pain pills after being an athlete. Very common, happens a lot. And we're learning his story so that you all, if you know somebody or anyone in your own family that gets injured playing sports, this is a cautionary tale. We're going to continue to talk to Matt. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us. We're coming right back to Straight Talk.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Find fun activities to do, like boating and biking, or camping and hiking, plus much more. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk. We're talking about athletes who get injured and end up being addicted to painkillers and then ultimately going to heroin. We're talking with Matt Paris, who is in the addiction field, working at the Fresh Start Recovery Center in Gaithersburg, Maryland. And he goes out and tells his story and lets people know how to get help. And that's really important. And he's telling us his story, and we're learning. And Matt, thanks for hanging in there with us.
Absolutely.
You know, you were an athlete, got injured, got hooked on pain pills. Now here you are at a young age, going from thinking you're going to go to play college sports and you love sports. Now you're out hustling money to buy Oxycontin on the streets. Now, did you end up doing what it seems like a lot of people would eventually go to heroin?
Yes.
Now,
yes.
how does that happen?
So sooner or later, the pills become too expensive or too hard to find, and you're sick. You're going through withdrawals. You're miserable. You'll do anything you can to find what you need to get well. So for me, that was heroin. It was easily accessible, and it was very cheap. And all you had to do was drive out to Baltimore and you know, find a corner.
Right. So yeah, I guess you were paying a lot of money for the pills and heroin. That seems to be the story you hear a lot.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? That people, they got hooked on the pain pills, they got very expensive, and heroin was actually cheaper.
Right.
Now, when you were doing this, maybe the fentanyl problem wasn't as big as it is now.
I was fortunate enough to miss the fentanyl era where everyone was, you know, getting hooked and dying, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
taking
you might have
people
been
out.
dead.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because this fentanyl is what's killing everybody. So you end up, now you're on heroin.
Right.
Again, what a story. You know, you go from, you know, where you were to doing heroin. How long was this all going on? A couple of years?
Yeah, it's lasted for about 3 years.
Yeah.
As I was introduced to opiates and painkillers after the surgery and the injury, it took I'd say about a year to a year and a half before I moved on to heroin, and then using heroin intravenously for about a year and a half, and it broke me very quickly.
Yeah, became a different world.
Absolutely.
I mean, here you are putting a needle in your arm.
It's you go into survival mode.
Yeah.
Waking up broken every morning, not knowing what to do next. All I knew is that when I woke up, I had to find one more just so I could get out of bed.
Right.
And it's a miserable existence.
Now, when do you reach the point when, I guess eventually you got help?
Eventually I got help.
Thank God for that.
Absolutely. So for me, it was a car accident. Every morning was the same story. You'd wake up, you'd go out, and you'd cop just to get one more. And this morning I had woken up on April 7th of 2012, headed to the city with my girlfriend at the time, and she was driving a Jeep on 270 headed north, and we crashed the car on 270 going about 70 miles an hour, and rolled 3 times in the middle of the highway and walked away without a scratch. Very, very grateful for that day. As we walked off, and this is how powerful the disease is, I walked out of the car, I told her to call her father and let him know we just crashed the car, and I called the drug dealer and let him know, listen, I'm still coming, because nothing was gonna stop me from getting what I needed to get.
Right.
And that's how powerful the disease is. And at that time, I was able to make my way and get to where I needed to go. And the next day we went to examine the car and get whatever was left of it, and I realized there was nothing left. The car was mangled, and I should not have walked away from that car accident. And that's when I made the decision that I need to get some help.
Talk about a wake-up call. Huh?
Absolutely.
That was
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Well, that's, you know, so how do you know what to do? I mean,
I had
now you
no
woke
idea.
up and you said, I can't live this way anymore. I got to do something.
Right.
Who do you call?
At the time, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was very, very scared. I just knew I needed help, and I was very fortunate to have my mother by my side who hadn't given up on me quite yet. So I called her, and she was able to call the back of the insurance card and get me the help I needed. And I was fortunate enough to find treatment.
Now, what kind of program did you go to?
So I ended up going to an intensive outpatient program. And for me, with the level of willingness I had to stop the craziness and the chaos my life had become, it worked for me. So I was able to go to an intensive outpatient program for about 14 months because I needed all the help I could get.
Right.
And in that 14 months, I was able to build a foundation in recovery and grow to the life I have today.
Now, you say 14 months, you know, you hear, you're in the business now, you're in the field, you know, but there's so many different modalities of, you know, 28, you hear 28-day,
Sure.
intensive outpatient, you're in there 14 months. I mean, there's lots of different options. How do we figure out, because you said I was motivated.
Right, correct.
Is that one of the signs to look for to know whether someone needs inpatient, outpatient, or?
I think it is very important for the addicts seeking help to be motivated and show a level of willingness. For me, I didn't know any other route to go. I didn't know about treatment and the different levels of care. I think it's very important for people to start at the highest level of care. Depending on medical necessity, a detox would be appropriate. And then possibly stepping down to a residential level of care or the partial hospitalization level, where you're getting more treatment, you're getting more services.
So you went to an intensive outpatient, meaning you lived at home, and
Correct.
but you were there 14 months. So that's
Exactly.
a pretty long time.
Absolutely.
That's good.
It was needed at the time.
Right.
I would have benefited from a residential program and then continuing with aftercare in an intensive outpatient program. But for me and my level of willingness at the time, it was able to work.
How's your wrist?
It's better. It's definitely better.
You play any sports now?
I do. I found when I got clean and sober that it was important for me to get back to the things I truly enjoyed. So playing flag football, recovery softball leagues, things of that nature definitely keep me entertained.
You know, what happened to you happened in high school. And other athletes in high school, there's no drug testing.
Right.
So if they get those Oxycontin, no one's even going to know. And you know the pressure of wanting to play.
Absolutely.
I mean, is that something you saw when you were playing sports, that people would hide their injuries or not tell the coach or not tell the trainer because they didn't want to sit down?
Most definitely. We would see that all the time. I had teammates of mine who were injured and would wrap it themselves or sneak off to see the team doctor, as opposed to, you know, running to the coach and saying, listen, I can't do this, because we want to play. We want our shot. We want to look good for the school and see where we can take, you know, to the next level. So people would cover up with any way they can, and most of the time being pain management, painkillers.
Yeah, and I think we see that a lot all over, because again, there's no drug testing in high schools for the most part until you get to college. So it's a way of getting in to that next level. And we're hoping that people watching, coaches, parents, if your kids are playing sports, be aware of their injuries. Matt, hang in there. I want to talk one last segment with you about some other addiction issues.
Sure.
So appreciate you being here. We're talking with Matt Parris, who works at the Fresh Start Recovery Center in Gaithersburg. He's an athlete who got addicted to painkillers, ended up on heroin. It happens. It happens all too often. We're going to talk to Matt when we come back from our little break about how do we help people stay in recovery during seasons, holiday seasons, when they used to drink or do drugs. So stay with us. We're coming right back to Straight Talk.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back? Are everyday tasks getting harder and harder to do?
Did you see this? Your cousin's in the hospital from a heart attack.
Really?
Health risks associated with excess weight or obesity can be serious. but you can do something about it.
I know you're worried. I found this.
Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. Visit yourweightmatters.org, where you'll find free resources to help you take control. You can start improving your life right away. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight and health. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
I had big plans. I had my career path all planned out. While I was on a combat patrol in Baqaba, Iraq, a rocket-propelled grenade took my arm off at the shoulder. When I came home, I felt alone. My family was around me, but I couldn't talk to them about what I'd seen and what I'd done. I remember just thinking, man, the way I am right now, I don't want to live. I was discharged from the Army, and I've been working with the Wounded Warrior Project since 2007. Warriors don't have to be severely wounded to be with the Wounded Warrior Project. We do have a lot of guys that have post-traumatic stress disorder. Being able to share your story, I guess it kind of helps you wrap your mind around what did happen over there. Just because you've left the military doesn't mean your life is over. Because when these guys are coming home, I'm kind of leading and training them. Instead of for combat, I'm leading and training them to heal. If I come away with anything from Wounded Warrior Project, it's them giving my life back. My name is Norby, and yes, I do suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, but I'm okay.
Hi, welcome back to Straight Talk. We're talking with Matt Parris. We're talking about athletes who get addicted to painkillers because of an injury. And Matt has one heck of a story of what he went through and ended up being a heroin addict. But now he's helping people at the Fresh Start Recovery Center in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and doing some great work to share a story and get people in treatment. That's what it's about. So Matt, congratulations on your life.
Thank you.
And thanks for being with us. You know, throughout the year, there are many holidays, whether it's Christmas, New Year's, St. Patrick's Day. These are holidays where, in our past, if you're a recovering person, your memory is usually, I was drinking, I was drugging, on those holidays. And so we've got holiday seasons around. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you got clean and these holidays would come up, I mean, is that like a real...
It's a triggering experience, for sure. I myself...
Good word for it.
Yeah, I got clean 3 months before my 21st birthday. So talking about holidays and different experiences, that was a big one for me and something I was quite worried about. Because obviously 21, you're allowed to drink, let's go out and party. And I was a 20-year-old person who was newly into the recovery and wasn't sure how I was going to handle that. But I think the best way for anyone to handle a holiday or a birthday or any time where partying is the thing to do is to lean on any type of recovery network you have. Look out for different things to keep you entertained. I know for me personally, I always welcome people into my home over the holidays. I know that there are a lot of people who are triggered by family, and maybe going home for them isn't the best idea. So come hang out with another person who's in recovery and spend time with them. It's important to make sure we're pouring into ourselves. So if you're a part of a fellowship that helps you in your recovery, or going to the gym, or whatever it is that keeps you on the right track, making sure you're keeping up with that over the holiday season and any time throughout the year where you know something is coming up that might lead you to drink or drug.
When you talk about recovery networks, support groups, you're talking AA, NA, 12-step groups, or any other group that you can lean on.
Absolutely.
That you can lean on when you reach that point. I mean, your memory must, you know, the holidays coming or your birthday, and right away you're going, God, last year I was like really partying and now I'm not. And like you said, sometimes being around people, your family or people, might trigger a bad experience.
Sure.
But for the most part, you want to be around people who are supportive.
Exactly. I think it's very important to surround yourself with good people who are like-minded and trying to do the same thing you are. So for me, going to a 12-step special event over the holidays. There's many events going on throughout any holiday season that are available to anyone who would like to attend. And it's just a supportive group to make sure that we're all on the same track, that we're all trying to support each other and get through a tough time, which can be for a lot of people.
And it's important to let people know, I mean, whether or not you like 12-step, you support 12-step, you've been to 12-step or not, if you're in a crisis during one of these holiday times in your life and you don't know who to call or there are meetings everywhere. You don't have to be going every day in your life to be able to show up and be around some people who are going through what you are.
Absolutely. There are many different resources available, and for those people who don't necessarily, like you said, cling on to those resources on a daily basis or a regular basis, they're still available and their doors will always be open. So it's important if you're feeling any triggered, right? That's the key word there. If you're feeling triggered in that time, just know that those resources are still available to you, and it's a great place to go. It's a safe space, and it's there for that purpose, because the holiday season is very tough. You've got seasonal depression and things like that. Just like you said, remembering last year's Christmas or 4th of July, that's a tough time. So getting with people who are doing the right thing is important.
And family support is important too.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you've got a recovering person, you want to make sure that somebody's taking care of them.
So for me, unfortunately, my family is riddled with addiction. And we have members who are in recovery. We have members of the family who haven't quite made it yet. So we make sure it's a safe space for everyone. When it comes to, Thanksgiving right around the corner, there won't be any alcohol in the house. It'll be safe for me and safe for any of the other family members who are attending.
And that's important. I mean, for the family to be supportive of that person.
Right.
Matt Paris, congratulations on your recovery.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you're helping others. That's important. And thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Today on Straight Talk, we were looking at the issue of being an athlete, getting injured, becoming an addict, holiday seasons. I want to let all of you know that you can now find episodes of Straight Talk, and there you go, on amethystrecoverycenters.com. Just link on Straight Talk. You'll be able to look at all of our shows for the last several years, most of the ones on opiates, and it's a great resource, and it's a great knowledge, great education for your kids, for classes, for professionals. I want to thank Matt Paris for being on the show. I want to thank you for watching Straight Talk, and I guarantee next month we'll have another great show for you to learn about how to find help if you need it, or for someone else. Take care. Thank you for watching Straight Talk, and we'll see you next time.